this is John Kvale, and this is your Q3, believe it or not, Q3 2021 newsletter. It's coming at you a little bit early. I'm doing this on a Sunday, and we are going to mail these out tomorrow, Monday, which will be, I believe, the 28th of June. So we're a little early, and the reason we're doing it a little bit early is because we've got an odd 4th of July week this year, and the information that's in this newsletter is not extremely changing market related. About a third of this newsletter, we've got a third tax, we've got some medicine talk here, and then we've got about a third that is market related, and it's more long moving. And so I was able to do the newsletter, and with the 4th of July holiday coming up, hopefully with a little luck, if the mail system works well, you'll have this on your whatever dining room table for 4th of July, and maybe get an extra chance to read it. So for those newbies, we do this in a video podcast format. I'm going to do this one a little bit different. I'm not sure if I'm going to put articles in the post or just actually put the video, because this is pretty straightforward, and I've talked about this on the blog already. So what we like to do, again, for newbies, is we like to put a little bit of granularity about what we were thinking about when we were doing this, and this will become very evident. I'm going to try and keep this short as good as I can. There's a lot to go over here, because it's likely that this is going to hit you tomorrow, Monday, and then I'm likely going to be doing the end of the June monthly review. So you get 2 videos in a row, and that's probably plenty in 1 week of me. So, all right, back to those of you that are driving and listening to this in your car, keep your hands on the wheel. I always say that. I always get a kick out of it. I guess I'll keep doing that. So the first of the 3 main articles is the confusion that is around the phase out of the stimulus and the dates. So it's gotten a little bit simpler. Those that are in listen only mode, I'm on page 1, and I'm about to jump to page 2. So I'm going to go over this briefly, but there's really a couple of things that has occurred. The newsletter, those that are looking, the newsletter, I have line 30 of our tax return, and this is where this year's 2020 return and 2021 return will show the recovery rebate if you did not receive it and you qualified. So there's been 3 of them, and your 2020, to summarize this, I'll let you read it. In your 2020 tax return, depending on what the situation was, could have picked up 1 or 2 of your stimuli. And the reason being is maybe your 2019 didn't give you the thresholds, and I've got the thresholds in here, but in the essence of time, I'm going to let you look at that rather than me go over it again. What we have in front of us, and this is the main thing that I wanted to bring out, what we have in front of us is the 3rd round. And the 3rd round, if you were in a tax bracket that kept you out of your stimulus on the 1st and the 2nd round, due to when you file your 2020, if your return meets the thresholds, and they're very short, the thresholds are quite low, you may get a $1,400 stimulus. Okay, so if your 2020 tax return was such that it will bring you into this round 3 $1,400 stimulus on September 1st, 2021, the IRS is going to look at you. We're going to look at all tax returns again and say, all these people that didn't get it, did their 2020 return let them get the $1,400 stimulus if they wouldn't otherwise, and then they're going to send it. Totally confusing. I know we're going to have checks flying around again potentially. One more, believe it or not, one more confusing thing. And by the way, the phase out, I'm going on to the newsletter. I'm on page 3 now, and this 2nd and 3rd phase out range is very short, and it phases out very quick. It starts at 75, phases out at 80 on a single filer. It starts at 150, phases out at 160 on a joint filer. Okay, and this is this 1,400, particularly with regard to this 1,400. Okay, so I go into this, if for an example, your 2020 tax return would throw you under the threshold and you file an extension beyond September 1st, you're going to miss the chance to get that 1,400. So don't do it. Now, if your 2020 doesn't, go figure this. They're going to have, when we file our 2021 our 2021 tax return again next April, they're going to look at that 1,400 again. So if there's a situation where your income is near this amount this year, the 75 or to 75 or the 150, it might make sense to try and maybe have some of that income paid in another year or push some of it forward. So confusing. We've got a September 1st date. If you fell in the zone. Okay, let me back up. If your income was about the same through this and you did not get any of the stimulus, you're not going to get any of the others. So the thresholds actually went lower, not higher. I know that was confusing, but I wanted to put some words to it. Okay, those of you that are in listen only mode, I'm going back to page 1 for the second part of my article, and that is we once again were able to attend the John Mauldin Strategic Investor Conference virtually, and I'm going to talk a little bit about the doctors here because it's pretty interesting. We had 2 contingents of people. There were a lot of medical people, actually 3, medical people, economic people, and market-related people. All right, so we're going to talk about the doctors real quick. So I'm jumping to page 4, those of you that are in listen-only mode. The 2 main doctors that were on the front line working with people that did have the coronavirus and also helped with the research. One thing that they said that was pretty interesting, and I actually recreated the graph. I'm sliding down on page 4, that they expected their mortality in this from 2020 to 2030 was going to have a monumental increase due to, and I'm on a chart, folks that are just listening, a monumental increase in mortality due to all the technological advances that we made in discovering this vaccine. So pretty slick stuff. There's a lot of other things that I learned with this that I didn't put in here in the essence of time, but I wanted to go over a couple of things that just kind of for health measures. They had 6 sustaining normal main key events that those of you that are in listen only mode, I'm looking at a slide that I was able to pull off. The first one talks about blood pressure. The second point is body mass index. Then they liked you to fast. They had cholesterol and no tobacco. And very interesting, their very last thing is they wanted a stress management program of some type, at least once a week. Lastly, they talked about the pros and cons of getting vaccinated, and I'll leave this for you to review this on your own. But needless to say, it's pretty positive news. Turning lemonade from lemons on something that we've got. It's going to be very, very interesting. And then more talk about COVID. They just don't know what this looks like as we start opening everything back up. Okay, now it's worked out great. My editor did this super. I am now on page 6, and included in the Mauldin, this was another piece of the Mauldin conference where one thing came out of every market-related economist person to a T believed that the Fed should stop with the purchases. They've overstayed their welcome. And we've been kind of saying that as well. We don't want them to drag this out. They're inflating the balance sheet, but they're going to, it appears, to slow roll this back. Okay, enough said. So what are the other 2 opinions that came out of this? There will be some type of inflation. Everybody pretty much agreed that inflation would not look like the 70s. Those of you that are in listen-only mode, I'm scrolling down to a chart. This is a 10-year Treasury. The interest rates have moved up. Now it's kind of flattened out, even gone down a little bit as of late, but it's still moved up dramatically, and that's what a lot of people are pointing to as a potential inflation move. Again, everybody agreed that we're probably not going into actually, nobody thinks we're going into 70s like inflation, but Jim Bianco trumpeted himself as saying that we're going to have more than just transitionary inflation. It'll be interesting to see. And I got a picture I pulled off of Bianco's website. I think this is, I've seen him later, and I think he's a little bit older than this. So the other opinion, the dissenting opinion, which is exactly the opposite, and I've got a pic of Lacey Hunt, who has been long bonds for a long time. And his argument is that we're not going to see inflation because the Fed has increased the balance sheet. The aforementioned purchases of they're increased their balance sheet in order to make the purchases. So the cool part about this is this isn't going to take years to play out. It's going to take quarters to play out. We can easily monitor it. There are different things, and I go into the very end of it. If there's inflation, then that's going to be a headwind to certain things. If there's deflation, then that's going to be a headwind and tailwinds to certain things as well. In the essence of time, I won't beat you up on that. One last thing. We are happy, and I announced it actually last week. We are happy to announce that we have our holiday party, our 25th annual holiday party at Dallas Athletic Club, the Saturday before Thanksgiving, which is November 20th from 3 to 5. Those of you that didn't catch the blog post, that was it happened Friday, and it's an all-new venue. They have completely remodeled it. Interesting, those of you that are in listen-only mode, I'm going back to the very beginning of this newsletter. One thing that's interesting is our country club, and from what I hear, country clubs in general, found membership just at a max. And I think that was due to being a little bit more private and quite frankly, some of the things that weren't open. So they were able to do some remodeling, and I'm excited to see everybody there. And those of you that know me know I'm a big hugger, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm back to the front of the page. Went longer. Q3 2021 newsletter review. Thank you guys, as always, and we'll talk at you soon. You may see me in a couple of days. Have a good one.